Moin moin and hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another tip review. Today I have for you the Tangzu Tang Sancai. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but yes, today we are taking a look at Tangzus' very first own ear tips. And as usual, I'm starting off with general things here, and this is how they come. And yeah, a bit of advertisement on the back. You open the package. And then you get to see, it's actually 3 pair of tips, and they clock in between like $12 and $16 depending where you buy them, which makes them, like kind of medium priced-ish, makes them clock in at like $4.6 per pair. I got them for $14 and hence I did that calculation, which makes them so like medium priced compared to the ST35, which I highly recommended a couple months ago. They are about $3 per pair. Complete foam like $5 to $8 per pair. Normal Zetna ear tips $6.5 per pair. And final E like 7.5 or 8 depending on where you buy them. Soft ears liquid silicone 9, X elastic 9.5, and crystal 12.5. So as you see, they are on the lower bottom of things, but not the cheapest I've looked at. Yeah, and then next, let's get actually a tip in here. Okay, actually remove them from the IEM first, I would say, before we take a look at the detail. Let's talk about the comfort of these things. Because Tangzus says, and I directly quote this here, the texture is supposed to, and now my direct quote, texture serves to relieve pressure and ensure a secure and comfortable fit even during extended wear. So, that's what they say about it, and before we talk about it, let's tackle sizes. Unfortunately, they only come in S, M, and L. S being what I have here, so you can see from the back, about 10.9 millimeters in diameter, followed by M with 12 and L with 13. So I would definitely like to see an SS and maybe an XL, because this is S and barely fits my ear. Like a bit smaller would have been nicer. And I suppose also there are quite a few people out there who 13 millimeters still a bit on the smaller side for L. So like an XL with 14 or 14.5, something like that would probably be a good choice here. And let's tackle their claim. So first, relief pressure, not true. I tried it with one of my favorites, the HA07M, which has a slight driver flex problem. It does get better if you have it in and it just takes a bit of time to readjust. But it definitely has one, and this does not make any difference there. It's still noticeable to my ear, and it still takes about the same time before it has equalized. So first claim, definitively debunked, that is not true. However, the second one, this tip is absolutely smooth. Like, I'm not sure how well it's visible here in video, but it's really smooth, not sticky at all. And those tips usually don't fit my ear. They squish themselves out very fast. And here I would say, the texture they have going on here definitely does help there to have this a comfortable and yet still well-fitting experience. And I would honestly say this is a nice thing, because I have read quite a few people who do not seem to like sticky ear tips. And this one, by not being sticky, still having good comfort, I would say they're pretty damn good overall. And that also makes me rank them relatively high in my list. On top is still X Elastics, followed by cut foam, followed by spin fit. For me it's CP360, about on the same level as liquid silicone, about on the same level as ST35 tips, and then a tiny bit below that the Tangz Sancai, just because there's no SS. With SS, I think those would be on the same level with ST35, but as I said, like SS would have just been missing here. And then the S&S tips, followed by crystal, and last but not least, finally, which absolutely do not seem to work for me. And then next, let's talk about noise isolation. And this is a thin-walled tip. That's why it's also so squishy, as you can see. It basically doesn't require any force. We just holding it directly deforms it. To my surprise though, this thing actually seems to isolate rather decently for a silicone tip. Reason for that, in my opinion, most likely being, you can see the relatively thick ring around the outlet. Similar to the, I want to say, liquid silicone tip, which also has a similar thick, maybe even thicker ring around the outlet. that does definitively help isolating some passive noises, and that overall then makes it, I would say, on scale from 0 to 10, where it's set like 10 is a very dense and nice fitting foam tip, and 0 is basically like worst silicone tip you can imagine. I would give this like in 6.5. I think if you get this deep inserted, actually maybe a 7 out of 10. It definitely isolates better than I thought, just looking at the wall material. Which, yeah, again, just goes to show that the inner core here and the outlet diameter, or the outlet diameter, also the outlet here and that thickness definitely does an also good job in isolating. And yeah, overall, I think this is a decent all-rounder tip if you just want it for isolating purposes as well. And then, shaping sound. This will be the last review from this tip series, where I will only show you measurements done with the coupler without the fake pinner. I have had an enhanced discussion with a listener from headphones.com on the Discord, in one Discord. And he has a point absolutely that I should not just throw on the objective measurements just in the without the fake pinner, because that usually makes for a relatively deep insertion and could not be representative for some. So I will follow up in the near future. I'm not sure when, because I need to measure all of my tips again in the fake pinner as well. So it will be one measurement done without fake pinner and one measurement done with. So you can see how the difference is, especially because insertion depth with the fake pinner is quite a bit less. And in my opinion, where I kind of disagree with listener there, I think the fake pinner does not allow for a deep insertion as you would get with most tips. I think it doesn't allow that. It should be, like, the opening should be just a bit bigger, so you can actually get a deep insertion there. But still, I agree with him in the general gist, and that's why in the future I will throw on 2 measurements in objective. But today it will only be one measurement done, again, without the fake pinner, similar to the other tips in the similar insertion depth. And yeah, objectively speaking, what should I say, these kind of measure exactly the same as other tips that have a medium bore outlet, something like this. This is, I think, like 4.7 or 4.5, something like that as diameter. So this is right up my alley and what tips I usually prefer, and it basically doesn't do anything to the sound here. There's an about 1 dB difference on the A7, maybe a smidge more, treble compared to other tips, but it's so close. It could also just be measuring difference, like maybe just the tip wasn't inserted as deep or it was inserted more deep. So I would say, objective speaking, this is basically the same. And subjectively speaking, they have these like grooves on the inside of the tip that is supposed to do something with sound. My subjective view is also, this does not do anything to the sound. It is just a medium-sized or medium outlet tip, and that means it is relatively forward when it comes to treble, but also when it comes to bass. Like, there's no weird behavior in bass, no weird behavior in upper, mids, or treble. It's exactly how I would expect it. And that brings me to the last thing about this review, the additional factors. And yes, as I said, big additional factors, the texture we are going for here. This makes it actually fit a bit better, because I think just the friction in here is higher, without needing to resort to sticky tips. So in that regard, I really like what they have done here. This should be a nice tip for all those who don't like sticky things. But again, on the other side, as I said, pressure relief is not working, and I think they should remove this marketing claim. It's just not true. Just doesn't work like that. And then last but not least, durability and cleanability. That isn't a word in English, I have no clue. Durability, absolutely fine. I've been using this tip here for, I don't know, like 2 months or so now, on and off though. But it still seems to hold shape just well and seems to bounce back just fine. And I don't really see a difference compared to the one that I have not been using here. Maybe difficult to see on camera, but they look very similar, and I think the durability here should be pretty good. It's just randomized silicone, like nothing fancy here, it's just silicone. So you should be fine in terms of durability, and because it's not sticky, cleaning them is super easy. You literally just wipe them a bit with a cloth or with some soap water. Absolutely easy to clean, no issue whatsoever. One small, I would say, is with this tip, you can't really fit it on really wide nozzle IEMs. I tried to fit it on the can, which has a 7mm nozzle at the lip. I couldn't get it on there. And on the AJS7M with 6.4, you can absolutely fit it on there. You just need to apply a bit of force. So it is definitely possible, and I would say the maximum I would fit this on is actually like 6.4, 6.5, but not more than that. I think that probably stretches them a bit much. So yeah. And then conclusion, it's one of those weird things. I have to ask you a question. How good is good enough? Compared to most other tips that I've reviewed, those have absolutely no weakness. It's not bad in any aspect. They fit well, they are comfortable, they isolate well. They're not expensive in the grand scheme of things. I just feel like they don't really wow me at all. Like, they're absolutely a good tip, and you can absolutely be happy with them in, like, for most IEMs, I would say. They just lack the SS shape, or an XL shape in my opinion, maybe a shorter version as well. But somehow I still don't really feel that confident in recommending them. I will nevertheless give them a careful recommendation, like these are a nice pair of tip, and I think they have a good spot on the market because of this texture that they're going for. I just don't feel as convinced as I felt with the ST35. They absolutely was sure, oh my god, these need to be recommended. They're so cheap, they come with a carrying case, they fit well, like there's absolutely no problem. But here somehow I feel like not that convinced in recommending them fully. So this I carefully recommended, and I think you will be happy with this tip. Yeah, that's basically it. Okay, so yeah, hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions, if you have criticisms, if you have feedback, if you have other ear tips that are kind of interesting to you, please leave a comment. And with this, Donspektor out.